What's up guys, I'm randomfrankp. In today's video, it's gonna be a 1-month review of my time using the brand new Logitech G Pro X Superlight 2. Now I bought this for myself day 1 of release. So these are my genuine thoughts and feedback after using the Superlight 2 for 1 month. It's not sponsored by Logitech. However, this is sponsored by the Corsair iQ Link. Build better and smarter with the Corsair iQ Link System Hub, a single controller that syncs and manages all your RGB hardware and your system cooling. Using one hub, you can chain 14 different components from fans, coolers, power supplies, and more, so everything is neatly contained without the bulk of excess cables. iQ Link helps sync the RGB lighting of all your Corsair products with ease, and uses these built-in temperature sensors for more detailed system monitoring all throughout your entire build. Check out Corsair in the new iQ Link ecosystem with the link in the description below. So, 3 years after the Superlight's release, we have a follow-up to still one of the top mice on the market, not only in sales, but market share. Users of the Superlight are notoriously dedicated and committed to Logitech in this shape, so this 2023 refresh is interesting to see, given how much the mouse market has really changed and evolved in the last 3 years. So this review will touch on the changes and the upgrades to the mouse, but also how my experience using the mouse also changed from day 1 to now day 30. And for starters, as you can see, physically, this looks identical to the original Superlight. It's the same exact outer shell. The only real difference and upgrade is the inclusion of the USB-C finally for charging the mouse. But literally, side by side, you wouldn't know which mouse is the new one and which is a 2020 variant. They didn't even bother changing the Superlight branding on the side and couldn't even add a 2 as a differentiator, which is odd. But the only other one-to-one difference is subtle, and that's underneath the mouse, with the bottom PTFE foot being more of a straight U shape versus the more curved bottom foot on the 2020 Superlight. Now that may seem minor, and it definitely is, but this actually pissed a lot of people off who may have had, like Tiger Arc skates or Hyperglides from their last Superlight, or maybe they had extra sets and they found out that they can't use those on the new Superlight 2 because it's not an exact fit. They still use the zero additive PTFE skates, but I wish they would have redesigned the feet completely because they're just so large, and more surface area means more friction, so it always just felt like a slower mouse as a result. But back to some of the physical aspects, like I said, it's the same shell and design here, so dimensions wise, nothing new to report on. It's still on the medium to larger side for a mouse, hand size dependent of course, but it's safe to say it's larger than most mice that have come out recently. The weight though has changed. It's been oh so slightly reduced by around 3 to 4 grams, now at about 59 to 60 grams versus the 63 grams from the original Superlight. However, moving the bottom puck will knock about 1.5 grams off, so you can be rocking with just about 58 grams if you prefer. Now at the end of the day, yes, it's a minor weight reduction, but it is still technically lighter than the 2020 Superlight. You would just have loved to have seen this come in at around 55 grams. Again, just considering the current mouse market and how it has changed so drastically over the last 3 years. Speaking of which, let's compare it to other relevant symmetrical mice out there today with the 49-gram Razer Viper Mini Signature Edition and the brand new Pulsar X2H at 54 grams. This is larger and heavier than those two, with the biggest shape difference versus the Razer being a more rounded egg shape here from Logitech, where on the Razer it's thinner at the middle grip and flares out at the top. Then versus the X2H, which stands for hump, the hump on that protrudes more towards the backside, where again on the Superlight 2, with it being more of a rounded egg shape, with the hump being more prominent directly on the top. Now sure, everything so far has been a very minor difference to the exterior. However, where that all changes are the new upgrades to the internals of the mouse with the specs and the tech. We do have a brand new sensor this time around with their Lightspeed technology. Using the new Hero 2 sensor, we get a bump in DPI, tracking, but most importantly, polling rate. It's now double the standard of 1K at a 2K Hz polling rate. And yeah, sure, 4K has been pretty popular lately, you wish that was an option, but honestly, I don't mind the 2K option here. Because like I said, it's still twice as fast as the standard, and it does help save on battery life at the end of the day. With the new USB-C port, you do get around 95 hours of use stock, and then about 50 hours at the 2K Hz polling rate, which isn't too bad really. If 4K was an option, you'd be lucky to see 30 hours on a single charge. Over the last month, I've charged it 3 times, and I pretty much gamed exclusively at the 2K Hz option, so I'd say 50 hours is pretty respectable. Another change and upgrade inside are the brand new optical switches called Light Force, and they're a custom hybrid optical mechanical switch. Now, the obvious benefit of optical is the elimination of that metal on metal contact inside, which over time causes issues like double clicking, which Logitech has been notorious for, unfortunately. You also now don't have to worry about like a debounce delay. And another benefit is optical's very low power consumption, so that all helps play into the extended battery life here. Now, I will say with these new switches, day one out of the box, they were a very thick click. I can kind of equate them to like box jades if you're used to the custom switches in the like mechanical keyboard community, sort of like that. They weren't like a heavy click, but they were just very, very deep is a good way to describe them. They're not like, you know, quick and light like you'd see on something like Blue Shell Pink Dots or the very light and crisp Razer optical switches. These were just a deep, thick click, which is kind of the best way to describe it. However, after maybe about like the first week, once they sort of got broken in and the mouse actually had some serious time on it, it really lessened up and the clicks themselves sort of smoothed out with the use, and they're much less sort of thick now. Again, it's the best way to describe it, but I'll do a sound test so you could hear how the mouse sounds for you. So yeah, right now it does sound probably what you're more used to hearing with other switches. So like I said, first week, they were very, very thick, but now they sound a lot better. They do feel lighter once it got just that week of use. And not that the switch got like run down, but they're worn in now, which is what you want to see. But no complaints with like anything rattling. There's no like squeaking to the mouse, so the shell here isn't compromised in any way with the new weight reduction. The only thing I'll say is there is a bit of give on my forward click, to where the point where it like sort of pops on the inside if I press it in too hard or too far. It doesn't even happen every single time. It's just something that I noticed during gameplay every now and then, where once I would click it in, it would sort of have like a second click, like as if something was like hitting on the inside. Not a big deal, I just do wish these buttons were a bit more firm, I guess you could say, or just a bit better. Now, during my time with it, I put it through my usual paces. Can always expect a slight adjustment period with the new mouse, so I usually get some time in Kovacs to get a feel for the shape and size, and I haven't used the Superlight since my 2020 review, really. So, you know, I definitely wanted to take some time to game with this mouse to get used to it, instead of just rushing out a review after having it for less than 48 hours. But also, I've had a lot of downtime over the last month with the studio renovations going on, so I really couldn't film much, which meant more time to game. So I played my share of Battlefield, sure. Recently got back into Titanfall 2, which had this resurrection recently with multiplayer coming back again, so that's been a blast. And also Counter-Strike 2 just like came out last week, so I've been, you know, just getting some more gaming in again, which has definitely been nice with the new mouse. But like I said, after that first week, once the switches sort of broke in and felt a bit more snappy and light, I had no issues gaming with it and it felt really good. Like, I know the 2K polling rate is a nice upgrade over the 1K polling rate, but it just felt like super quick and accurate in game. Logitech's tech has always been top tier, so the 2K feels really good. I will say the shape of the Superlight really isn't my favorite. It's just a bit too round for my hybrid fingertip claw grip. And personally, I just prefer mice that have more of a contoured grooves in the middle, but that's just me. I'm not gonna say the mouse is bad because I prefer other shapes. That's not how reviews work. In fact, with this, it's kind of the opposite. The mouse felt so good in game that I really didn't mind my time using this shape for a month. It's weird, I started off kind of being iffy with not liking the mouse, but then over the month that experience just getting better and better, which is not something you typically see, but that's why I'm happy I stuck with it for a month to give you more of a long-term user review. One thing that is always kind of the more boring aspect of reviews, but in this case it's very important, is the software with G-Hub has gotten much better with the integration of this mouse. We finally have things like liftoff distance, which wasn't adjustable in the past. Now you can adjust that for each different DPI level, which is really cool to see. Not something you typically see too often. And speaking of which, if you have another mouse that you've mained for a while and you've just gotten used to that very specific tuning in DPI, they have an option where you could tune both mouse at once and it would actually set your new Superlight 2 to match that DPI. So really cool integrations and changes here that make this mouse really easy to adjust to and get used to. So wrapping up my 1 month with this, it's been very positive. No physical complaints with the mouse. My complaint is with Logitech. Now, hear me out. I feel like they really did the bare minimum when it comes to upgrading this mouse. However, those bare minimum upgrades are enough to keep this relevant in 2023 and for years to come. And you know, I was baffled that it's not the Logitech Superlight 2 on the side, but it makes sense because this doesn't feel like a Superlight 2. It feels like a Superlight 0.5. And I think Logitech knows that. They know that they could have put out the bare minimum and people will still buy it. And that is very much gonna be the case with this because people who've owned previous versions of this mouse are gonna see a brand new 2023 release that's lighter, finally has USB-C, has optical switches, has a 2K hertz polling rate, and those upgrades themselves, while not groundbreaking, are gonna be enough for the mass audience of users out there who have used this mouse or previous versions over the years to now wanna upgrade. So it sucks, sure, as a consumer who you'd love to see a major upgrade to this, but again, Logitech knows they don't have to completely do crazy things. They can do the bare minimum, which is what I feel like they did here, and it will sell and it will still be relevant. So again, while it's not the mouse for me, I'm not a fan of the more egg-rounded shape here. I prefer other shapes. It's not the mouse for me, but I know very well this is a really good mouse. It will sell like crazy, and it will be a top used and top sold mouse probably until the Superlight 3 comes out in who knows how many years or whatever they do for the next version. And guys, that'll wrap it up for my review of my 1 month time with the Superlight 2. Hope you all enjoyed. If you want to check it out, I'll have a link for you in the description down below. If you like this review, give it a big thumbs up to show your support. Feel free to follow me on X at randomfrankp. And last, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Hope you all enjoyed. Have a good day.